This time, we had a baby. This is baby Sienna Harper, and she's 3 weeks old today. How fast has that gone?
Quickest 3 weeks ever.
If anyone that doesn't know us, I'm Grace from FacesbyGrace. This is my gorge boyfriend Chris from FacesbyKips. And this is Sienna. So I have been sharing my pregnancy journey here on C&G Babyclub, and finally we have this gorgeous little one to share with you all. So basically what we're here to do today is share my labour story and answer any questions that you might have. I see a few people joining, so yeah. Will we get into the labour story first?
Yeah.
So on Tuesday the 20th of September, Chris will probably have to come in and fill you in a lot more because I'm just like baby brain. But on about 11:30 at night, we were just getting into bed and my waters broke. They didn't completely break. It wasn't like a gush like everyone says, but I thought it broke. I thought they broke. And then after about an hour, there was a little bit of pain and I started to have contractions. And yeah, I rang the hospital straight away and they said you can just stay at home and have your contractions at home and just do what makes you comfortable. You could be a couple of hours before you need to come in. So we basically sat around and I had a few contractions and we listened to some music. I bounced on my ball. It's crazy that it's all over now anyway. So they started to get really fast. Chris was counting my contractions on an app and counting how fast they were going and how strong they were. So they lasted, I don't know how long we were at home. What time did we go into hospital at?
I think it was about 4 o'clock when we
decided we'd go in. I said, right, I'll hop in the shower, you make me toast, and then we'll head into the hospital. So yeah, we went in really casually. Went into the reception, checked in. They're so just calm in there. I was like having contractions against the wall. And then we went up to the assessment suite and we sat there for like half an hour as well, didn't we?
Yeah,
waiting because there was people in getting checked. This was about 5:30, I'd say. And then we went in and the midwife had a look and she said, I don't think your waters have broke, but I'll do a test. And then she took out the massive torch. She took out this big giant torch to have a look. At this point I had left all my dignity at the door of the coombe while we were walking in, and yeah, so she tested and it came back positive that my waters had broke. So they said I couldn't go home, but it could be a really slow process. So they put me on a ward with loads of other women who were still pregnant and gave me pethidine. That was one thing that I said to Chris I didn't want. It's kind of a what is it? What do they call it? A sedative? Not a sedative.
Kind of.
Like a relaxant.
Relaxes you
and makes you drowsy. And Chris wasn't meant to be there because it wasn't visiting hours. And they said to me, like, you can just stay here until like your labour progresses. By 8:30, I think I said to you, like, I'm okay, you can go out to the car and have a little nap, because we'd been awake for like
since the night before
that.
Monday night, well, Tuesday morning.
So he went out to the car at like 8:30 in the morning, and I texted him by 9 o'clock, and I was like, get back here now. The contractions were really strong and really close together, and I was like not able to deal with it on my own. He came back into me in the ward, and there was a midwife with me who was doing like my blood pressure and checking my temperature. And I just remember her standing in front of me and Chris was to the left. And like my waters just broke. And I was like, and I just tried to whisper to him as the midwife was standing in front of me. I was like, Chris. And he was like, what? And I was like, my waters just broke. Like all over the bed, weren't they? No. I was so embarrassed. But she was like, it's grand. It happens to everyone. So then, what happened next? So my waters kept breaking. It was not the most pleasant thing, but my contractions started to get really fast and really strong, like so strong. I didn't expect the pain. A disclaimer, everyone's birth and everyone's labour is different. I was going in with the intention of a natural birth with no pain medication, but things changed. Nothing that we had, nothing in our birth plan went to plan. Everything that we didn't want, we had to get, but we just went in with an open mind and we knew that whatever had to happen was going to happen.
Whatever was safest for the baby and for you is the right thing to do.
Yeah. So then a midwife came to check me and see, because I said, no, these are really strong, like I can't deal with pain. She came in and checked me at about 10.
Yeah.
And said I was 3 centimetres dilated and that we were going to the delivery suite. At that point, I think I was like, oh my God, bawling, crying.
Thought that the baby was
going to arrive 10 minutes later. And she was like, relax, the baby's not going to come just yet. We'll bring you down. I remember walking out of the ward with, like, we packed our bags and we walked down towards the delivery suite, and someone was actually having to go for an emergency C-section. So there was doctors and nurses running everywhere while I was walking down the ward to the delivery suite with my waters going everywhere, having a contraction. And he was like, do you want to stop? And I was like, no, just keep moving. I had to just keep moving to try and ease the pain of the contractions. We got to the delivery suite and I just said, I'll have the epidural, please. He was like, you do whatever you need and you get whatever you want to make sure that everything goes okay. So I told the midwife that I wanted the epidural, and she said the anaesthetist would be on the way. He was in surgery.
Yeah.
So I was able then, I actually feel like I got in the zone then when we got in the delivery suite.
Well, we got the gas and air straight away.
Yeah, I didn't like the gas and air. It didn't really work for me because I couldn't take as much air in as I wanted. It was kind of a weird thing to like breathe in and out through this contraption that I'd never tried before. So I was kind of getting a bit drowsy as well, I think, from the pethidine. Yeah. Because I was kind of falling asleep and then the contractions would wake me up. But the anaesthetist came and he told me, like, you have to sit still for this, and had me like bent over. Chris was on one side, the midwife was on the other, and he proceeded to do the epidural and had to try 5 times to get it in because he said my vertebrae were so close together that he couldn't get the needle through. So I was there trying my best to stay still while having contractions. And I think on the last time he hit a nerve and my leg shot up. Yeah. I think I nearly kicked Chris in the face. He got it in eventually, and then about 20 minutes later, I was happy out.
Yeah, like a different woman.
Yeah. Do you want to take over?
No. This is your story.
Yeah, so then that was about 12 or 1, wasn't it, in the day?
I think it was about 12 o'clock, yeah, it wasn't that late.
No, it wasn't too late. We weren't in the delivery suite that long. And then, yeah, it started to work and I started to become numb and it was grand. It did last, though, hours. I was sitting in the bed, couldn't move for hours, waiting patiently for every centimetre. I think I dilated a centimetre an hour. After that, my contractions slowed down and they gave me amoxicillin. I always get that name wrong. They gave me amoxicillin to try and speed up my contractions, but then the Baba her heart rate started to drop, didn't it? Yeah. Her heart rate started to drop. I was on a trace and they were kind of worried about her. So they had me sit in different positions and they found that me just sitting upright was comfortable.
It was when Grace was getting contractions, basically at the same time as the contraction was getting stronger, the baby's heart rate was dropping lower. So they had to do a test. I don't remember the name of the test.
I can't remember the name.
But basically they just cut the top of the baby's head to get a blood sample to check that they're managing the oxygen, or that they're getting enough oxygen into their blood. And thankfully that came back perfect. Positive. So they just moved you up in the bed, didn't they? Just sat you up, and it must have been just the baby was on the cord or doing something, or just wasn't happy with the position. But once they moved Grace up in the bed, the baby's heart rate picked up back to its normal rate.
It wasn't the most pleasant of procedures. I had my leg in a stirrup, and they had to, manually check and get a little swab of blood from her head while she was still inside. You can't really be nice about this.
No, it's not a discreet way to say it.
No, Chris has just he's like, whatever.
I'm so desensitized, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. He's seen things that I haven't seen. So then it was a long process. I'm sure if you followed me on Snapchat that day, you were like, oh my God, is this baby ever going to make an appearance? I didn't think she was. I felt like once I had the epidural and we were sitting in the delivery suite, I forgot about the whole pushing the baby out part. So that lasted, and at 9 o'clock, I was 9:30. I was fully dilated, wasn't I?
Fully dilated, but the head wasn't down enough.
No.
The baby wasn't down enough.
So the midwife said, we'll just wait a while and hopefully the baby will move down by itself. You're ready to go, but we'll just wait. So I started pushing at 9:30, and I pushed on my own for 35 minutes, but the baby wasn't coming down. It was coming down a little bit and going back up.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing isn't the easiest thing to do, I'll tell you. It's something that I didn't even know what I was meant to do, but I think I got the swing of it and did a few good pushes.
Yeah, gave it socks for a good half an hour, yeah.
And then a couple of doctors came in and they were worried about the baby and her heart rate.
It was going up instead of down. So it was going way up over what it normally was at or what it should be at. So they kind of put a bit of a rush on it to try and get her out safe.
Yes. So there was 2 doctors, 2 midwives, a student nurse and a paediatric doctor, and Chris and me. And another midwife floating in and out. So they said that they needed to get the baby out, so they'd try the suction. Bearing in mind, I didn't want anything. I wanted to just have her naturally. So when they said suction,
You wanted to be in a pool.
I wanted to be, yeah.
Suction.
I had hypnobirthing in a pool planned, but Sienna was very big. So they tried the suction. It didn't work. Then they said they had to use the forceps, which wasn't nice at all. And then I had to have an episiotomy. For those of you who don't know, it's a cut instead of tearing, because they say that it's better to have it controlled rather than tear naturally. So then we got the head out. Yay! And then she was born at 10:30, 22:29.
Yeah.
Baby Faces finally entered the world, and here she is 3 weeks later. You can't even see her face because of the camera. She's fast asleep. She just had her dinner. So yeah, she was born at 10:30, and I had to stay in hospital for 3 days because during labour I got a fever and was on antibiotics, and also because my waters broke, they only let you go 18 hours and then you're prone to an infection, so I had to be on a drip for that. Basically, I had everything that you could have. The only thing I didn't have was a C-section, but I'm pretty sure they thought I was going to have a C-section.
Yeah, there was, I would say we were pretty close to.
Yeah.
Pretty close to.
So yeah, that was the labour. Not what I had planned. Not the nicest of things, but I did it.
It worked.
Yeah.
We got it right.
You were proud of me, weren't you?
Very. I couldn't believe it. I honestly don't think that I'd have been able to do it. Jesus.
No. And it was so much worse than I thought it would be, but it's an experience. And then the minute they popped her on my chest, they were like, there's your baby. And we were like, what is she? And they said, it's a girl. And they had to take her away because she was a bit stunned from the birth. And the paediatric doctor had to have a look at her. And that was a little bit scary because she didn't cry when she came out. And
we didn't really know what was happening.
They didn't tell us.
The nurses didn't really give us a lot of information. That was the only time we were kind of really out of the loop when she first came out. Like that, we had planned on me cutting the cord and the undelayed cord clamping.
Yeah.
But with everything that happened, they kind of just wanted to get her seen to straight away. So she was kind of like, oh, there you go, we're taking her away again.
Yeah, so she was looked after by the doctor and then weighed, a nappy put on her, and then we did skin to skin for about an hour. And then, yeah, that was it. We had our tea and toast. We were brought back to the ward, and Chris had to go home, and I was just left with our newborn baby. So yeah, that was our labour story. I hope you found it informative. I suppose we'll answer the questions now. If anyone has any questions, I'm sorry, I know there was probably questions, but we didn't get a chance to read them. But if you have any questions at all regarding the labour or how we're doing, or any questions about Sienna, any questions to Kips, feel free to start asking them now and we'll start answering. Okay. Do you want to start reading?
Yeah, I have to go closer because I'm blind.
Here's the squinty eyes.
There's a light in my face. There's a lot of people saying it sounded like exactly like their birth. I've seen that coming up quite a lot. That was like a mirror of their
What was the
labour.
hardest part of labour? Right towards the end, when they were trying to get her out with the forceps, and it was just all seemed to go really fast, and I didn't really know what was going on, and they just wanted to get her out safely. So that was kind of scary, and I turned to Chris at one point and I just was crying saying, I don't think I can do this. And he was like, you can. And they were like, you have to. And I did, yeah.
She just needed a bit of a pep talk.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, did you feed straight after?
Yes, so we did skin to skin, and the midwife said to me, you can try and get her to latch whenever you want. And yeah, pretty much a midwife walked in and I said, I don't know what I'm doing, will you help me? So she helped me get Sienna latched, and yeah, fed straight away on both sides.
Yeah. How did we pick the name?
We had Sienna's name picked for months, didn't we?
Well, we'd settled on it 100% about 2 months, I think, beforehand.
Yeah. I just really liked the name. You weren't too keen on it at the start, and then he...
I actually had forgotten that Grace mentioned it, and I came in thinking it was a brilliant idea, and she was like, I said that to you last week.
And I love that name. And then he said, I really like it, and I was like, okay, that's her name.
Yeah.
How did you find the episiotomy recovery, Grace? I had one with my little fella, and I had an awful time. It's actually been fine. The first week, like when I was in hospital and when I came home, it was kind of hard to move around, and I was quite sore, but it's been fine. It's a little bit itchy now, but that's all I can really complain about.
Did Chris look down when baby was coming out? Yeah.
Chris had one leg while I was pushing, so
I was pretty involved in
he was acting midwife for the night.
Yeah.
Did you have her name straight away? We had her name before we even knew we were having a girl. So yeah, we had boys and girls' names picked. What was the boy's name?
It's up to you.
It was Franklin James. But we'll still keep that if we have a boy.
That's why we're telling everyone. No one can use it.
Early days, but you think you'll have another. I think we were still in the delivery suite, and Chris was like, I don't think I could do that again.
I don't think I could.
Well, we could.
We'll see, but it was scary I saw somebody actually asking, what was it like for me, because you don't really hear the dad's side of things. Like, it was okay, not having control over it and not knowing. Like, you know yourself, if you get pain, you know if it's a normal pain or if there's something not right. And there's so much pain happening that you don't really know. Like, I don't know how to judge it, how bad it is. Like, obviously it's really bad, but whether it's right or whether there's something wrong. So that was probably the worst thing, is not being in control. And then also when the whole heart rate, everything was okay. It was just a normal labour, painful, but it was what I expected up until the point that the baby's heart rate started to drop, and Grace wasn't really aware of it because she couldn't see the screen with the heart rate. But I could, and I was trying to just act like everything was okay, but I knew for like a half hour or so that there was something wrong, and I could tell by the way that the nurses and doctors were acting, or midwives and doctors were acting, that there was something not quite right. And then once they had told us there was a problem with the heart rate, I just couldn't rest. Like, Grace was in total relaxation land because she was after going through so much, and she was pain free then. But for me, I couldn't sleep, couldn't rest, so I just had my eye on the monitor for the whole time.
And then every time I looked around, like, he'd be glued to the monitor, and then I'd look around and he'd be like, hey, smiling at me, and he wouldn't let on that there was things happening that I didn't know about.
So it was okay. I mean, obviously it's nothing compared to what Grace went through, but not having control over it is probably the worst part about it from the dad's point of view, I would say.
Oh, sorry, I just kicked the tripod there. Did all the nasty comments about you supposedly snapping your labour bother you? I only read them like a week later, and I don't think it was any of my followers that were writing negativity. I just seen so much positivity from my followers, and it made me just so grateful for you all for the support.
Yeah. Literally the only time Grace actually had her phone was the odd couple of snaps that she put up. I knew that a lot of it was happening because people were texting me.
You didn't tell me either.
I was being sent screenshots of different articles and stuff, but like, Grace was going through enough, so I didn't bother telling her. Well, little bits I told her, but none of the negativity anyway.
Did the post midday program bother you? That's probably the same question. I actually didn't think midday was that bad. We watched it back about a week later, and
that bad. Yeah, it's just the only thing that was really negative coming from it was people who are just out to have a bit of a bash and put people down, and those kind of people are always going to do it regardless of what you're doing, so you can't really bother or take any notice of them. But then the other side of it was people who wanted to have a conversation about it, but just weren't educated, or didn't, not educated, but didn't know about like Snapchat, how it worked, or didn't actually follow Grace and know what was happening. The only people who had negative things to say were people who didn't watch the story.
Yeah, who didn't know, because someone somewhere said I was broadcasting the birth, which was a lie.
Yeah.
I seen a few questions. Did Chris cry? Yes, he did.
A little bit, but I think only afterwards, like when everything had settled down, because I was genuinely petrified. Like I didn't know if Grace was going to be okay, if the baby was going to be okay. So it was a good like couple of hours before I really kind of settled down and knew that they were both alright. So I might have shed a little tear, but I wouldn't say.
There were tears in your eyes when she was put on my chest.
But I was too, like, I honestly thought I would be an absolute wreck when she came out, and I'd be totally okay with it. But I was too worried to be emotional. I was kind of just frozen, waiting for them to say everything was okay.
I've seen a few people ask about the TENS machine. I actually totally forgot we even had it, like until about 2 hours in when we were at home. And Chris like attached it up and put it on my back, and I found it nice. I felt like it just kind of helped with my back pain, but when I was going through contractions, I didn't really like the boost button, but maybe I just didn't give it a chance. We didn't use it for that long.
Yeah, you've said it was kind of like having a massage on your back in between contractions. The contractions itself didn't really seem like it was doing that much, but in between it was soothing, I suppose you would say.
Someone said, did I get the baby blues?
I've seen that a few times,
No. They told me in the hospital that I could be a little bit teary-eyed, but I was teary. Like, I'm always teary anyway. Oh, hi! We're not paying you any attention. Oh, are you smiling? You can't see her, but she is smiling. I did get a little bit emotional. There was one night, actually, I think it was the first week we were home. I was in the bath and Chris and Sienna were in the bedroom. Oh, hi, you're awake! And I really missed her, and I was in the bath. And I came back and I started to feel really anxious. And it was the first time I'd felt anxious. I think it was like day 6. And I said to Chris, like, I feel like I'm having a panic attack. And I just kind of said, like, I feel anxious. And just told him all the crazy thoughts I was having. And he just reassured me, like, of everything. And yeah, that was the only kind of little bit of anxiety that I had. Do you want to say hi? No. Can you see? Can you see all those nice comments for you?
Did we think we were having a boy or girl? I thought boy, she thought girl. I'm still
and
convinced that something might fall down.
Who did you first tell you were pregnant to? My mum was the first person I told, and then we went straight down to Chris's mum, and then we rang his sisters, and then we told Mags and my brother, and then I think that's all.
Just immediate family.
And then Dominique and Damien, and I told Rosie actually guessed, and I told Lauren, and you told Anto.
Yeah.
We told loads of people.
Are we going to have a christened? Yes.
Yes, next year. There's loads going on this year, so we're going to wait. Aww. Kelly said, hello, Sienna.
She's very
Hi,
girl,
Kelly.
her mummy's girl. Very small little man who was watching your snaps. His name is Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
She's
a mommy's girl.
At the moment, Grace is providing.
Yes.
Grace is keeping her alive. I'm just somebody who holds her at the night time between feeds.
I'm with her constantly, yeah. But I'd say she's going to turn into a daddy's girl.
Yeah, we already had the name picked before she was born, a couple of months before.
Was that the only name for a girl? I liked Emily and Isabel. You really liked Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it.
Baby number 2.
She's only 3 weeks old.
Not anytime.
Definitely going to wait about 5 years.
Do you feel you've grown stronger since the birth of Sienna?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've just changed completely. Like, I don't know how, but I just feel like, I'm so proud of myself for going through that.
She's the image of her daddy. Isn't she lucky?
She's got my nose, though. Do you have any baby monitors? We have the Tommy Tippy one. I don't know if it froze there. We haven't used the monitor though because she's next to us all the time. Any tips on inducing labour?
Swimming.
I was swimming 2 hours before my waters broke. I actually tried everything. We had spicy food. I went for walks. I went swimming. I ate pineapple until my tongue nearly fell off. I drank raspberry leaf tea. I had what was that thing? Oh, clary sage in the bath. I took raspberry leaf capsules. Everything you could do. Everyone told us to do yes, we did everything we could to try and get her out.
I personally don't think that
anything works.
I had a baby will just arrive and she's ready to arrive.
Yeah, I had a sweep the day before on my due date and she arrived the next day. Wedding next. Yes.
We'll see.
How's the feeding going? Do you think you will express? The feeding is going so well. I'm exclusively breastfeeding and yeah, not a bother. She feeds, she sleeps, and that's about it. And I'm probably going to try and express. I didn't really want to, but my mum suggested trying her on a bottle because when she breastfed me, she couldn't actually get me to take to a bottle. So I obviously want to introduce that so she's able to drink from a bottle, and because we have a few things coming up. We have a wedding to go to and we're going like just so people can babysit her and so that daddy can feed her too.
I'm due Friday. Totally think I'm overpacking for the hospital bag. Any tips? She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Good luck with it all. I brought too much for myself, but
not enough for the baby.
Yeah, her clothes didn't fit her because she was £9.04. So Chris had to bring in more clothes for her, and I didn't think that I was going to have to stay in for 4 days. So every day he just brought in what I needed. I just texted him in the morning and said I need this, this and this. And I think I only brought in 2 maternity pads. Like, who thought the amount of maternity pads you go through? And I brought 2 into the hospital. So bring maternity pads, bring loads and loads of pajamas, bring some shower gel. I didn't wash my hair. I was just scruffy for the couple of days. I didn't need any makeup. Just stuff for her, really. Nappies, but they can give you that stuff in there.
Be aware as well that once you get epidural you can't eat. We didn't know that, so we had gone we didn't even have dinner properly on the Tuesday night, didn't we?
No, we ate like nachos and Skittles
and peanut M&Ms was very there, so we had gone way too long without any food. So just for people to know,
was it because of the epidural or because they thought I was going to have a section?
Well, both. Once you have epidural you're more likely to have a section. Well, not more likely, from what I know, you're more inclined to have a section once you have an epidural because you're ready to go.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. What was it best to have newborn size clothes or 0 to 3? So up to a month. I had newborn just in case she was tiny, but I didn't think she was going to be. And then I got up to a month, and that was, I think, what was it? £10? I think up to a month is £10.
We kind of knew she was going to be big anyway though, so we were able to kind of prepare. I think we had one outfit for £7.5 and then one up to 1 month. Yeah,
and we didn't use any of the newborn. She didn't fit into it, but she's still fitting into £7.5. But I'd say some of them are a little bit too small, and then others are fine. Congrats. Hi Sienna, 7 months pregnant. Oh, that comment went, sorry. Are you not exhausted doing all the night feeds on your own? You look amazing. Oh, thank you. No, not really. She wakes, like I fed her, this is just an example, I fed her last night at 11. She woke at 3, I fed her, changed her, she went back to sleep, and then she woke at 6. But some nights she'll feed at 4 and not wake till 8, and it's literally only a half an hour, and then we fall straight back asleep. So she's really good. She's not feeding every hour or every 2 hours. She has a good feed and goes back to sleep, so we're blessed. Will you do it again after? Will you go again after it all? I'd say in a couple of years, once we've forgotten about it all, we will go again. I would like more kids. Oh, look at you smiling. Oh.
Definitely not smart.
No, that was a frown.
Read that out.
Grace, you are an inspiration, and Kips is a dream boyfriend. The perfect couple. Can't wait for the wedding. Oh, thank you, Joanne. When do you move into your new house? So that was a bit of a disaster. I know the last time we did our Facebook Live, we were planning on moving into our house, but it fell through. We didn't get the keys, and we're moving in with Anne this week. Yay! So we're going to move in with my mum until we get the keys to the house. So didn't work out, Baba, did it?
It could be 1 month, it could be 7 months.
We don't know. We just have to wait and see. If anyone has any more questions, you can send them in. What time is it?
9 o'clock.
9.
Good half an hour. I'm sorry. Thanks.
Oh. It's okay. We'll just wait for a few more questions on it. Are you talking? And if not, we'll wrap it up. Did you do any breathing exercises, mindfulness, or did it all go out the window? All went out the window.
You started off well.
I totally forgot I was even planning on doing hypnobirthing. I was just like, give me that epidural. So.
How do you describe the love for your Baba?
Oh, it's crazy. Like, it's just like no love I've ever experienced. Just knowing that, like, she's ours forever. And she's just so perfect. And I just think, are you smiling because you can hear us? Or have you got wind? It's just undescribable love. Like, from the minute you see that baby, it's just like, just pure happiness. How did you find being overdue? I'm finding it hard going. By the end, like the last month, I was just ready to have her. Wasn't I so uncomfortable? I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I was just ready. Can you describe the labour pains? Okay, so Chris asked me while I was having a contraction, and I tried to describe it. So what I thought was, it's like when you bang your tailbone and you get that pain where you're like, and you can't breathe, but worse. It's just, it builds up. So your contraction starts off really low and you can feel it coming and building and building, and then it gets to this height where you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And once it hits that high, it just drops and it's gone. So like, you just have to go bear with it and just ride the wave up, and then it's gone. I just started to watch your snaps after your baby was born. My wee woman, 7 months, and I love every minute. I just get better. You're such a great mom and dad. Oh, thank you. Kips is bursting with pride. Oh, he is.
I definitely am. It is mad seeing your partner go through that. Like, it does give you a different kind of outlook on them. Because, like, I would have thought of Grace as a bit of a wuss.
Thanks.
Sorry. But I didn't know she was that strong because she spent the first 12 hours of the day squeezing my hand like a lunatic. And then it's crazy to see like how you don't go through pain day to day. I haven't really seen you struggle with anything physically, but to see somebody work so hard for their child is mind blown. Like, it was crazy. And like that, because you don't have control on it, you're willing her on so much, and for her to actually go through it and do it after literally hitting every kind of speed bump in the road that we could have in our plan, if you can have such a thing, was kind of was a bit crazy, really.
Oh, that was nice. How did Chris feel about you Snapchatting your labour?
We didn't think anything of it. Like, I didn't think anything of it. I'd be a bit weary. Like, I'd be very aware of like what other people would think, more so than even what Grace would be. But like, to us, it wasn't Snapchatting your labour. It was just updating your followers who would support us through the whole 9-10 months, whatever it is, and just letting them know, like, listen, I'm going into labour, get excited, we're going to see the baby soon, I'm this far along now, I'm that far along now, she's born. That was all it was. So
there was nothing
it'd be different if she was like wanting me to be like her lighting man to get the right angle down so you could see everything, like, but it was never going to be that. Like, it's just not the right platform or the right time to do it, and we wouldn't want to do it that way either, so I was totally for it.
Yeah. Who was the godfather? Chris's best friend.
My best friend,
Anto.
Anthony. I don't think I've ever called him Anthony.
Yeah, I was like, I just called him Anto and you called him Anthony. Yeah. Us women are amazing. We definitely are. My hubby nearly passed out when I was having my second. Oh God.
I did have to be moved away because the nurse thought I was going to kill her.
You just get a bit aggro.
I got quite baby switch.
My back is getting really sore. She's heavy. Say hi to my partner Yvonne. Hi Yvonne. We had a baby boy, Donica, 12 days ago, and she followed you throughout her and your pregnancy. Oh. Actually, let me see if I can read that more because it's something towards Chris. Chris, how are you planning feeds when you go back to work? I'm breastfeeding, so that's my job.
Ain't nothing coming from these boobs.
The nurses brought my boyfriend tea and toast while I was on the delivery table.
They did offer it to me, but I felt bad eating in front of Grace. So
I was so hungry. I kept asking them, can I eat? And then I said to her at one point, can I just have some polos? And Chris went and got me polos and some Lucozade Sport, and it was heaven.
I just acted like I wasn't hungry because I felt bad.
I was like, go have a sandwich, and he's like, no, I'm grand.
I had a sly bar of chocolate when I went to get the polos.
Oh my God, he didn't tell me that. As new parents, is there anything you disagree on yet? No.
No, because I'm generally just right.
No, he's not. Any more questions, or will we leave it there? Will we leave it there, Baba?
Will we give them a chance?
You gonna wake up and say hi? She's got the sly eye, one eye is opening. Kips, you are some man, he is. How do you find having a little person who is all yours, and do you find your life is better with little Sienna in your life?
It's early days, but it's strange knowing that you have someone to look after first before you all the time.
Yeah. And
knowing that she's going to be here forever. Like, sometimes, like, you forget and you feel like, oh, you have to give her back soon, but you don't. You get to keep her forever. So it is strange, and it's like, you know what, like, my dad, and I'd heard other fathers saying before, like, oh, you know, like, you could go to jail, or you could commit murder, or do whatever for your child. As soon you'll know that feeling. And it's true. Like, as soon as she's out, like even today when Grace was on a radio show, and I could hear her crying in the background, and I felt like so protective of it. Like, somebody help my child.
She was in my arms though.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been here forever. I'm like, what were we doing without her? It's just like the best little person in the world.
Yeah, you already kind of forget. I've already forgotten what our life was like before.
Yeah.
It's just, it feels like she's always been here in a way as well, because Grace is doing so well, like, and it's made it so much easier for me that Grace has been so good. Like, I haven't had to worry about anything because she's just a natural.
He didn't want to let me leave the house. Like, we came home from the hospital, and I think we came home on Saturday, and on the Monday I was like, I'm just going to walk down to the shops. He was like, no, like, don't leave the house. And I was like, I'm fine. But then I think it took him a couple of days to like go out in the car and like go places, and then he was like, you're actually grand, like, I can go back to work now and be happy that you'll be fine. And I think that's a lot, like, that's the hard part for men going back to work, or partners going back to work, knowing that their partner is at home with the baby. But I think, like, I was happier to go out and do things and feel confident driving with her and going for walks, and it didn't just happen the minute you went back to work and I was just like, what do I do? So I'm glad I kind of got out and about beforehand. Guys, congrats. Why did you choose Harper as her middle name? We just really liked it.
Just a pretty name.
Yeah.
One of my friends just asked me where I got my hoodie. And it was actually in Dunnes stores, Carol.
Would you have a second, or is it too early to be thinking that far ahead? Yeah, that's too early. How did you choose the name? We just really liked it. We've talked about that at the start of the video. What was the boys' names? Franklin, James. I think a lot of the questions are coming up again, so we'll probably leave it there. What do you reckon, Sienna?
She doesn't think much.
No. Your first Facebook Live, and you slept the whole way through. She is giving the sly eye. Aren't you? Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Any last words? Any wise words for them all?
Don't have a plan.
No.
I would definitely advise not to have a plan. Like, it's good to have an idea of what you'd like to do, but don't get into don't get so stuck on it that you'll be thrown if you can't do it.
Yeah.
Because you really just have to go in with an open mind and just trust that the midwives and doctors are going to do the best thing for you and for your baby or for your partner or whatever it is. So just kind of go with the flow, ask questions, don't be afraid to ask questions, because I certainly wasn't. But it's good that you know exactly what's happening. And
just be as relaxed as you can. I know it's something it's very hard to go through, but just try and be relaxed and try and have fun. Like, we were listening to music and I was bouncing on the ball, and like, I just kept laughing so much at the early stages, and just enjoy it, because it's an experience that you'll never, well, you might experience it a couple of times, but it's just completely different, and just have fun. And yeah, I just saw a girl I know, Lindsay, joined, and I think she's due soon, so good luck, Lindsay. Say hi to baby Molly.
Sure.
Hi, Molly. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you soon on my Snapchat. If you're not following me on Snapchat, I'll just give myself a plug. It's FacesbyGrace 23, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.